That's the truck. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh, the high tunnel is now full, and so is the other greenhouse. So we're gonna do a walk through here, then we'll go to the other greenhouse and do a walk through there. Pardon the plastic flapping around in the wind. It's just part of life here in the spring. But first off, we've got the purple fountain grass right here, which everyone loves. This is such a beautiful grass, and I actually like to plant this one in the ground more than I like to use it in containers. I don't know why. I think it's equally as beautiful, but in the ground, it just adds such a gorgeous accent that you can't get from any perennial grass out there. You don't get that combination of color and size and the plumes. There's a lot of pretty perennial grasses out there, but nothing quite like this. All right, so let's start on this side, and we're gonna go pretty quick because there's quite a number of varieties, and many of these you've probably seen already. Some of them are new for this year. We were able to try them out last year, like the yellow, the saffron finch Super Tunia. But anyway, we've got the Super Tunia Royal Velvet, which are actually quite small at the moment. And I noticed that about this load as opposed to others in the past, there are a few varieties that are on the small side, which is almost nice, because usually when we get like to the Super Tunia Vista bubblegums, those are already so big in their containers that oftentimes we have to separate them from the gate, which means you have to have extra flats, which we save from year to year. We've got a big stack in the barn so that we could separate plants so they have enough airflow and light, and they're not competing, because that makes the plants just kind of sick. And then they take up double the floor space. So it's almost nice when they're a bit small, because then they can stay in these flats for a while. So the Royal Velvets, and then one that's fairly similar but a smaller flower. These are the Super Tunia Mini Vista Ultramarine. They stay a little bit more compact to the ground. They spread out a little further, a little bit of a smaller flower, but oh my gosh, I loved these. I planted them last year by the chicken coop, and they did so beautifully. Then we have the Super Tunia Black Cherry. There's the Super Bina Pink Cashmere right here. One of my favorites is the Sparkling Amethyst Super Bina. I mean, always right from the beginning, they are just stunning. And I think the word sparkling in their name is so perfect, because they do kind of sparkle with the type of color they've got. And then we've got Super Bina Cobalt. Isn't that a beauty? And it looks really pretty with this one. Then we have the Super Bina Sparkling Rose, which again has that color variation, but in the pink family instead of purple. Super Tunia Honey. I think these are so gorgeous because you get a variation of color. You get the honey color, that kind of mustard, all the way to kind of a mauvey pink and an apricot. They're just beautiful. Super Bina Violet Ice, which we planted these in our big pots last year, and they're awesome. They get massive. I think we had them in the containers at the corner of our Hartley last year as well. My goodness, they got big. I had them in there with the Royal Velvet Super Tunia, and it was a gorgeous mix. Super Bina Whiteout. These get absolutely enormous and full of the bright white flowers. We've got the Alyssum. This is the Violet Night Lobularia, or Alyssum, however you like to call it. And then we've got the Diamond Frost Euphorbia, and I think is there Diamond Mountain? No, this is all Diamond Frost right here. Then we've got the Blushing Princess Lobularia, which these get way more full of flower than they are right now, and they're more on the blushy pink side of things. And then we have the Snow Princess, which these are the bright white, and you can see the gorgeous color. They're just full already. Lemon Coral Sedum, Campfire Marshmallow Bidens. Loved this one last year. So the tag says they get 8 to 14 inches tall. Mine got at least 14 inches tall, and they spread out every bit as wide as they're supposed to. Max 16 inches. I would say that mine got a little bit bigger. I don't know. They loved the spot behind the chicken coop last year, and I was very impressed with these. As I am with all of the Gara. So this is the Carolee Petite Pink Gara. I love to use these as a centerpiece in containers. And then we've got the Stratosphere White Gara. And then we've got one that I haven't tried yet, the Pink Picotee. It's not a new variety, I don't think, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of like a variation between the two. You've got like kind of some white and pink in the blooms, and that'll be fun. Super Tunia Vista Snowdrift. This is kind of like the Super Bina Whiteout in that it will just, you don't need very many of these to create massive impact. And then on this table here, we have the Angel Face Super Blue Angelonia, which they are very deceiving right now in how they look. They get quite tall, like between about 3.5 feet. My goodness, this plastic is so loud to me. I don't know how it's picking up in the microphone. I apologize if it's hard to listen to. Right behind that, this is one of my favorite annuals ever, the Rockin' Plain the Blue Salvia. I love the velvety look of their leaves. They're super tough. They get nice and big, like 2 to 4 feet tall and wide, and they get that big for us. Blue blooms all through the season. Love them. Super Bell's Double Redstone. I was surprised at how much I liked this one last year when we grew it. We had it in the hay racks, you know, the hay rack project that we did last year, where we planted all of the new varieties for this year. And oh my goodness, we had it at the end because I thought, well, it's red, so I don't want to have it in the middle of a bunch of pinks. And I don't know if it's the mix of the red with the yellow or like the color of the aged blooms, but that little yellow or the aged blooms kind of like tones down the brighter red in the flower, and it just is a more subdued look to me, and I really enjoyed it. See, like right here, that's a much more subdued look. And then just the amount of those, especially as the season goes with the yellow, it just, I don't know, I really think it's a pretty one. Double Twilight grew this in containers and in the ground last year, and it did great. On the ground down here, we have a whole bunch of begonias. We've got the Surefire White, the Surefire Rose, Surefire, let's see, did we get any of the cherry cordials? I don't know if we did this year. Mostly rose and white. We do have some of the Nonstop Mocha White Begonia, which I'm noticing a whole bunch of them are red, but I did notice that they tucked in a couple of extra flats of white begonias, a different variety, but they look fairly similar so that we'd have enough white for whatever project we had these allocated for. All of these plants are grown by Moss Greenhouses in Jerome, Idaho, and they actually supply a bunch to my parents' garden center. They're really wonderful to work with, and they do a great job. Coming over onto this side, oh, these are so pretty. These are the Rockapulco Apple Blossom Impatiens. Look at that. Look at the color of these blooms. Anything that says apple blossom, I know I'm gonna love it. I just love that delicate pink color. It's so beautiful. Now the Tropical Shades tag, if I saw that with no flower on these plants, that would scare me. That is so bright. But look at the flower. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like a salmon pink. Gorgeous. We've got some Rockapulco White Impatiens here, no color yet. And then this is the one I ordered the most of. These are the Super Tunia Saffron Finch, and I just think these are so gorgeous. I had these planted in the ground and in one of the hay racks last year, and they just performed beautifully. And this is the color of yellow I like. It's kind of lemony and fresh, but it's also soft and buttery on the edge, so it tones it down and kind of is very pleasant. And then we've got Super Tunia Bordeaux, which has always been a favorite. They're so pretty. And look at them with the Saffron Finch. Such a pretty combination. Then we've got the Persimmon Super Tunia, which these are just such a unique color. Bright pink around the margin and then that kind of mustardy yellow in the middle. And they have a very tropical vibe to them. The Queen Tut grass. I loved this one. I think I grew this year before last. And out of all the tuts, there's, you know, baby, prince, and king, and now queen tut. This is my favorite. On the other tut grasses, I felt like the ends of the plumes always wanted to brown out for us in our very hot, dry climate. The queen tuts just seem to be a little bit more sturdy for us, and they're a really great size. 18 to 24 inches tall and about that wide. That's just a very nice compact grass. Great for, I used it in a part, it was in a part sun container. part shade. And then I've got some ivy here, which honestly was ordered for our window boxes, which are not on the house. So we'll find a way to use those up. We've got the Safari Dusk James Britannia. First time growing it last year because I think it's a new variety for this year. Absolutely gorgeous and an amazing performer. Super Tunia Priscilla. Oh, I love this one. It's like a Bordeaux, but on steroids. I just love the fluffiness of that flower. Then we have the Super Tunia Hoopla Vivid Orchid, which here's a flower right there. And I have to be honest, usually I'm a little bit tentative about flowers with a bright white margin or striping, because most of the time I feel like it's a little bit jarring having that high of a contrast in a single flower. But we planted these last year. So we had them in a hay rack, but we also had some leftovers. So I popped them in the ground and they created the most beautiful, bright spot in the garden. And we commented on it every single day because we go out and walk in the gardens every single night. And every time we were walking around, we'd stop and comment on that flower and how beautiful it was. And then we've got some Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum, which I don't think I got any of last year. So I'm excited to have that one back in the garden again. And then we've got the Super Tunia Mini Vista White. So just a miniature, smaller flower than the Super Tunia Snowdrift. And then Super Tunia Latte. There's a flower. Oh, I love that. Kind of an antique-y version. Okay, so that is the walkthrough out here. Let's head to the other greenhouse and take a look. I can't even believe it, but we had exactly the amount of space we needed. We filled up this middle table. I filled up this little spot on the side. So these are the white begonias that were filled in for those red ones. And then we've got the Luscious Royale Pina Colada Lantana and the Pinkberry Blend Lantana. Brought these in here, and they even said they're on a little bit on the small side. Do you want us to keep them and grow them a little bigger, or do you want to grow them on yourself, which we can absolutely do in here. And then over here we've got the Amazel Basil, and then we've got a few flats of this gorgeous Muhlenbeckia. This is the big leaf wire vine. Oh, so pretty. And then a table full of the most beautiful foliage plants ever. All of them, except for two varieties, are Color Blaze Coleus, which means they can handle sun or shade. And that's been thoroughly tried and tested all over the place. And I was so skeptical of that claim in the beginning. I thought no Coleus is going to stand our summer sun with the amount of dry heat and wind and, you know, no cloud cover, no protection. And they sure enough do. As long as they get plenty of moisture, they're totally fine. So first up, the Sedona Sunset. I love the fall shades, but it's got kind of an iridescent purple center to the, you know, like the new growth is that color. Then we've got the Lime Time, which even though this one doesn't offer a tremendous amount in the way of, you know, color variation and variegation, this in a part shade area or shade adds so much brightness because of that chartreuse color. Then we have the Dipped in Wine, which, you know, I mean, you guys can see how gorgeous it is. So you get the depth of color, but then the bright pop with the chartreuse. Then you have the Ridiculous, which does give you that red foliage color that I love. I love to have pops of red in foliage around in the garden. And then we've got the Wicked Witch, and this one has become a favorite. I love the burgundy centers and that bright chartreuse center. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. You get the light and the dark, and you get that super, like, not fluffy, but scalloped leaf. And then we have the El Brido Coleus, which this sometimes takes on more of a salmon kind of pink look and sometimes more of a burgundy. Sometimes you get all of the colors, and it's just a beauty. And then we've got the couple that are not Coleus here. We've got the Persian Shield, which I thought would be a fun one to mix in probably some part shade containers. It does say it can take full 2-part sun, but again, I feel like maybe I need to test it out in a sunnier spot. Maybe it will do it beautifully. To me, it looks like it needs some protection, but I don't know. We'll see. And then we've got the Sweetheart Lime Sweet Potato Vine. And out of all the sweet potato vines that have ever existed that I've ever planted, this is my favorite. I tend to like the sweet potato vines that are a little bit more controlled in their growth, that have more of a clean line around their leaf. I don't like the ones that are wild looking because it adds just too much texture and a little bit too much for my eye, and that's just a personal opinion. And I think a lot of them are really neat, and I've tried and I will continue to try a bunch of different varieties, but this one has been my favorite for many years. I just love it, and it doesn't get out of control like some of the others do. And then right up here we have a snoozing Russell. Hey buddy. You look very comfy in that dirt. And now that we have all of our annuals and it looks like the temperatures are going to be well above freezing, at least for the 10-day, we can start doing our summer planting. I feel so relaxed this year, though. I haven't felt in a rush, like even to get my seedlings out. It's like it'll happen, right? It happens every year. There's no reason to stress about it. I am a little stressed about the brand new plants with the 38-degree night. So I think covering them will be nice, but I'm just going to plug away at it over the next few weeks and we will get these annuals in containers in the ground and spread around the town. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you're having a great day and we will see you in the next video. Bye.